Hello, everyone, and welcome to another special extravaganza spoiler cast, whatever we're calling this episode.
Extravaganzas, you had it right the first time.
I'm just going to
No,
say
it's a
all of them.
podcast special.
It's all of them, because it's an extravaganza, I guess. It's a special, that's true, but it's also a spoiler cast. It's all of those things.
It's actually spoiler cast, not a real word.
I don't care. You think this is a man that cares?
I try to bring
Think there's a
professionalism to this
You
program.
think there's a dictionary page for spoiler cast?
No,
Probably
there's
not.
In the Urban
but
Dictionary, I could imagine that.
Oh yeah, the Urban
more than likely
Dictionary.
Urban Dictionary. But the point is
That's
that
a real
it gets
dictionary.
across. It gets across to the audience that, like, hey, you know, if you want to hear a couple of guys, for a couple of hours talk about something you've never heard about before or you've never experienced, that's what this is going to be.
I just want to say for
Yeah,
the record, the Urban Dictionary has helped me understand people more than the Oxford Dictionary.
Yeah, well, you hang around with a
Fascinating.
sordid crowd.
Thank you.
So this time we're talking about Kara no Kyoukai.
Good pre-show. Good pre-show, everyone.
Anyways,
That was rude.
we're talking about Kara no Kyoukai, Garden of Sinners. Kara no Kyoukai translates to Boundary of Emptiness. Now, this is a seven movie series. It's not quite as bad as that sounds on the face of it, because most of these movies are only 1 hour long as opposed to like an hour and a half to 2 hours.
But
Although movies 5 and 7 are 2 hours.
some of them are only 40 minutes long or 45 minutes long. That's not a movie. I think a feature film needs to be, 75 or 80 minutes long? To be officially a feature film?
I guess, but these all did air in Japan in theaters.
Okay.
What? They
I
have
mean, I would
anime
also call
theaters.
Primer a movie, but I feel like, calling it a 7-movie anime or whatever sounds way more intimidating than it actually is.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, like I said, movies 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 are only like you said, they're like 40 minutes to an hour. They're not that hard to get through in terms of just sheer length. It's only movies 5 and 7 that are 2 hours long. But anyways, this is a movie series that I watched, I want to say like 5, 6 years ago, something like that, maybe longer. And at the time, this was when I was really getting into the Fate franchise, and I started, after I finished the Fate Stay Night visual novel, I branched out and I was like, oh, let me, I wanted to check out more stuff in this universe and more stuff by these creators. And that included Tsukihime, the Melty Blood fighting game, and Kara no Kyoukai as well. I'm sure some people might be confused to hear that, but yes, all of these properties are part of the same multiverse of sorts.
So in a way, I just finished watching Fate Zero.
No.
Oh.
That's like saying, like, after you finished watching Thor, you're like, oh, I've just seen Avengers.
Yeah. I think I get it, though.
What do you mean?
I think I get Fate Zero now. I watched.
How can you get Fate Zero by watching this?
I watched the first episode of Fate Zero where the guy was in like the room with all the things. I don't want to say
the bugs.
With all
Yeah,
the
the bugs.
elephants, right?
all the
Like
elephants.
elephants or frogs or
Yeah,
hippos.
I think it was snakes, but you guys pretend like it's bugs. I think it's snakes. And
No, it was definitely bugs.
and I can sort of use this show as a framework to extrapolate where Fate Zero would have gone from there.
Not really, but okay.
So, like, I don't need to watch it, I'm saying.
I mean, whether you watch it or not is up to you. But this is really funny though, or not funny, but interesting. So like you bring up Fate Zero, and they're both animated by the same studio. And one of the ways that the studio actually kind of winks and nods of like, hey, these are kind of subtly connected, is the pack of cigarettes that the main character from Fate Zero smokes is the exact same brand that Toko uses in Kara no Kyoukai.
That's like Tarantino.
So I personally really love these movies. I at the time I had never seen anything like it. I thought it was really unique and interesting and um, very confusing at first, but I think this is one of those anime or stories that like the first time you experience it, it's kind of like a lot to take in, and it's hard to parse out what it's doing and saying. But like I think it gets substantially better upon a rewatch. At least for me, like I've seen these movies multiple times throughout the years, and I always feel like I come away like appreciating them more and more every time I return to them.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm not really sure how you guys feel about it. So, Acer, why don't you go ahead and tell me whether you liked this or not?
Okay, so you said when you first watched it, you said just now that you had never seen anything like it.
At the time.
At the time, you had never seen anything like it. Okay,
Yeah,
I
for
don't.
me, it was like very unique and interesting.
Okay, I don't mean this to be like a massive point of anguish or annoyance, but what had you seen Elven Light when you watched this?
What what?
No, hold on. Like I said, I don't want this to be
I
like I'm not putting it down. I'm saying when I watched it now, I was like, oh no, this is giving me Alvin Light vibes. But I actually thought
what?
no, but I liked this. I was like, this is teetering on being like etchy for the sake of etchy, but then like it always like it managed to always bring it home. It had like substance at the end.
Okay, all right.
But it was like
You had me there in the first quarter. I'm not gonna lie.
but it was like a
Where's
precarious
that
tight
from?
walk rope for
Where the
me.
fuck is that quote from? I'm gonna have to interrupt you.
It's from
Okay,
a meme.
that's a meme. It's just like a football player.
And he just said
American
that.
Yeah,
American
they were losing
Yeah,
in the
because
first
like
half of the game.
yeah, like they were losing at first, but then they they pulled it around.
Okay. I keep reading that shit as responses in the Valorant subreddit, and it's really annoying. Like when someone tells a joke, and then halfway through, it's something else than what you expected in the beginning. They say that.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
And then there's always
do
a
you have
comment that's
anything?
like,
And do you have any comments besides memes?
then there's always a comment that's like, "Hello, fellow redditors."
But yeah,
Hello, fellow
continue,
kids.
please.
Okay, so I kind of get where you're coming from a little bit.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, I feel like Kara no Kyoukai at its quote unquote edginess was still nowhere near Elfen Lied. Like Elfen Lied just was.
That's a dumpster fire. But like with this, you have to understand where I'm coming from. Like I watch it and I'm like, oh, it's like anime, and they're like, it's quote unquote heavy subject material, and I don't know like the context surrounding it, so I don't know if this is gonna pay off. Much like how Elven Lied starts out, there are girls and there are these psychic powers that are going on, and I was like, oh no, what is gonna happen here? What's gonna happen here?
I feel like you're talking about the third movie in particular because that one had a rape scene at the beginning.
Yeah. But even at the beginning of the first one, where like that movie started with a suicide, where the girl was jumping off of the building.
Yes.
So like even there, I had like, oh, this could very easily go wrong. But I think it ultimately came out good. What did you think, Bogan?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I'm gonna have that much to say on this. I liked it. Uh, I think this is extremely uh, inaccessible,
Yes. That
and
is a very fair thing to say. Yes.
I mean, I thankfully I just did, like, earlier today. I rewatched some of, like, pretty much all of the movies, or at least scenes from it, and I read plot summaries again to refresh my memory, because a lot of those movies kind of, especially the first one and the third and the fourth, had pretty much slipped my mind.
Okay.
But I
Well,
did like it. I'm gonna say that.
okay, that's good. I'm glad you at least liked it. I was a little concerned cuz like so Monster, I was pretty sure you guys were going to enjoy it. Gungrave, I was fairly certain you were going to at least enjoy the first 17 or so episodes and the ending. But with Kyoukai, I think this is debatably like the weirdest one that I've recommended so far. It's the most kind of like slow and abstract and kind of hard to, and like you said, inaccessible. So I wasn't as sure like how you guys would feel about this, but I'm glad you kind of ended up like more positive than negative.
Hmm.
But let's go movie by movie and let's talk about them and kind of like parse them out.
I'm gonna
So
say rereading some of the plot summaries made me realize how much was set up in earlier things that I just didn't notice on the first run. There are a lot of details that come back and little scenes, and
yes, so, and that's why I was saying before that these movies are much better upon a rewatch because then you start picking up on like, oh, even like this early on, like I believe it was either movie 2 or 3. I think it was movie 3. Um, the main villain like shows himself at like the very very tail end, and he's like approaching a character. And at the time, like when you see that, you're just like you don't really know what that means until you realize later on, like, oh, okay, this was him, like, you know, this was like part of his master plan or whatever. But anyways, the first movie is called Overlooking View, and what I really like about this first movie is that it just throws you in. This is like somewhere in the middle of the timeline, and I feel like that's perfect because like the movies are already kind of confusing even if you were to watch them in order. But like to just throw you in the middle of the timeline is just like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? Like, and I really appreciate that. It kind of gives me like a David Lynch sort of feeling, where like you're just not really sure like what it is you're watching and where it's taking you and what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm inclined to disagree on that. I think this is
Okay, what?
this is one of the weaker movies, and I'm not against throwing someone in at the deep end, but
Mhm.
I think you need a strong story for that, for the beginning. And this is some kind of like side story meandering within the whole context of the show. And then so on. So you don't really know what's going on. There's a lot of one thing I really hate about what the fuck is it called? Ghost in a Shell, for example, is you have absolutely no time to come to grips with the main characters. You don't know them at all, and immediately they start spouting like overly complex philosophical dialogue. And this
Is
is
this
kind of what
a
happens in this too.
is that a Ghost in the Shell, the anime or the movie with Scarlett Johansson?
The anime.
Hmm.
I have not seen.
See, I don't agree. I really like Ghost in the Shell,
Yeah, I
so
know.
I don't know about that, Chief. Don't know about that.
It-
Um,
there are a lot of supernatural elements in this show, and
yes.
I feel like the whole time through it suffers from those not really having rules and being kind of hard to follow. And especially when you're starting out, that is just one arcane element on top of everything else. Like there are dolls and prosthetic arms, and then Shiki has these weird eyes, and she can see like lines on the quote unquote enemy, and then you have the whole murder mystery on top, and then it's so much all at once. And I feel like the whole villain story isn't that interesting to begin with to really capture me, which is probably why I didn't
Uh,
take any notes on the first movie.
I thought
Hmm.
that the villain of the first movie, I thought that was like a different kind of twist to what I expected it to be. So I was like, I was interested when I learned what was going on.
Yeah, because she's not like some. I think even calling her a villain isn't really accurate. She's not really like. She's just a sad, lonely, depressed girl that's like stuck in a hospital. And, this was like her only means because the villain came in and kind of like gave her this ability.
She killed
Like,
7 people or 8.
no, yeah, she did. I mean, I'm not trying to excuse her actions. What she did was wrong. But like at the end of the day, it was just because she wanted company.
Yeah.
And I feel like you, again, what she did was absolutely wrong. But at the same time, she's stuck in the hospital. She's blind. You know, like she has this like crazy ability where she can like turn herself into like a ghost and you know, uh,
Astral project.
like it's like it's kind of like it's just a sad situation. She all she really wanted was you know company and like something to give her life some more meaning.
Was she
And
was she blind? How did she know that what's his name? Mikio? How did she know that he was there all the time?
okay, no, she became blind after
Oh.
she was given the ability.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, I think it was. I kind of get where you're coming from, Boken, and I do agree that like it is very overwhelming, and I don't totally agree that the story isn't interest. I think it's interesting um, for what it is, but I can at least agree that maybe they should have picked the third movie instead to start things off. I think that one has a stronger story to start with, but at the same time, it might also be really rough to start with a rape scene like if that's the very first thing you see. So
That would
at
have
the end
had
of the,
the
I think it was
Alvin Lead
probably the
meter
right
even
decision to
higher.
start movie one. What is it?
I said that would have had the Alvin Lead meter go up higher.
Yeah, sure.
Why
feel like
why are they out of chronology?
Why is it out of chronology?
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure to be honest. I'm
It's,
not.
it
Yeah,
strikes me as slightly pretentious, I'm not gonna lie.
I really don't like using that word. I think that word's kind of pointless, but
Mm, it's being artsy for the sake of, again, I'm really not trying to put this down. I think this has a lot of substance, but to me, starting with a second movie, for example, which is chronologically the first, would have made more sense. And that is also the one that is probably the easiest on the whole supernatural stuff.
yes.
It just seems to
So
me like a better movie to start with.
I can agree with that to an extent. Again, I do kind of like how movie one just throws you in on the deep end, and it is very disorienting, and I think there's value in that. But I think it depends on who you are. Like there are some people I would say watch it in the release order, and then there are certain people where it's better if they watch it in the chronological order.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm not totally sure why it's out of order anyways. If I were to hazard a guess, when the when the writer was first coming up with it, maybe he hadn't figured out everything yet, and he just wrote the first story as just like its own thing. And then later he thought, oh, maybe I should explain where these characters came from. And then that's when he started connecting everything and started to build the story more. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But there doesn't really at least on the face of it, there doesn't seem to be a lot of meaning as to why it's out of order. Or at least like it's only really the first 4 movies that are out of order. But yeah, do you want to move on to movie 2?
I thought.
What is it?
Okay, I'm not sure about the chronological order because I think it's clear what comes at the beginning and what comes at the end, and then there are these in between ones, specifically 1, 3, and 6, which I'm not sure which of these happens first.
No, 2 is in the beginning. Then it's 4, and then it's 1 and 3, or it might have been it's 3 and then 1, and then it's 5, 6, 7. So it's 2, 4, 3, 1, 5, 6, 7. I think maybe the release order being out of order chronologically, it might also be for pacing. But again, I don't totally know what the reason is. But anyways, moving on. Let's talk about movie 2. So personally, movie 2 is like one of my favorites. I think this is a really strong one. This movie in particular, it shows us. It starts at the very beginning, and it shows us how Kokuto and Shiki met up, and it shows us their early life in high school, and it shows us their budding relationship, and it's really kind of sweet almost, because like Shiki is like kind of like being a bit of a tsundere almost, like she's hanging out with this guy. He's kind of weird, but like he has this like fascination with her, and she doesn't really get it, and he doesn't really seem to understand why he's attracted to her either. And I think it's weird, interesting relationship, and I always really appreciate how this movie was able to portray this kind of awkward young love.
Yeah, Mikia is kind of like he's like a dog almost. He's affectionate to a almost self-destructive degree.
Yes, he's kind of an obsessive person.
Yeah, like I really grew to like him towards the end. I'm gonna say I was momentarily weirded out when he started like camping outside her house in the fucking bamboo forest, like when it's raining or snowing, even though she told him to fuck off. Like, meh. Bit weird.
Yeah, see the way I take that, and this kind of ties a little bit with movie 5, but movie 5 in particular hammers in this idea of the yin yang, and I think one of the things that these movies are trying to convey is that Shiki, if you take her at face value, she seems like the crazy one. But I think deep down, she's actually a lot more sane than she lets on. She's a lot more human. She's a lot more like normal. I think a lot of the way she acts is her putting on airs. She's putting on a front. And deep down, she's actually a much more normal person than she pretends to be. And I think the opposite is true with Mikia, where he seems, on the face of him, he seems like a pretty normal person. But if you actually take the time to analyze his behavior, he actually comes across as more crazy than Shiki does.
Yeah, he is like one of those shonen protagonists that just keeps rushing in to save his friends, but he has absolutely no power or skills. He just wants to help. And it is a wonder that he fucking survives at all.
Well, it's a good thing that he has a super cool girlfriend to save his ass.
The face when no murderous telepathic girlfriend. That's one of those moments where I was very worried, was when she was talking about like murder with him, in movie number 2, I was like, this is I don't like this. Do you remember that scene?
I think so.
She often talks about murder.
Yeah, but it was like, it felt really long, and it felt like edgy. I think that's the worst this ever got with that, though.
Well, the point is that there is a murderous second personality or identity inside
True.
of her.
True.
Yes,
But
Apparently,
she has this weird like dual personality.
yes,
Yeah,
but I was not fully on board with all of that quite at that point, though.
Yeah, I get that.
If I rewatched it, it probably would play better.
And I feel like it's just, again, these supernatural elements. Maybe it's also the translation that I had, but a lot of it is kind of awkwardly explained, and I'm not sure if it works better in Japanese. Some of it probably does, which I'm going to talk about specifically in, I think it was movie 5. But yeah, it's like that personality was kind of hard to figure out, like that alternate one. I didn't even know it was supposed to be a male personality.
Yes,
but it can only perceive the world like from the prospect of murder, and what the fuck does that even mean? It's just weird. It's really weird.
It is weird. And I think part of the problem is, I don't know which translation you had, but like in general, like Japanese, based on what I've understood about the language, is like Japanese in general just seems like a really weirdly vague language. And these movies are trying to convey a lot of complicated shit. So I imagine the translators were having a hard time, like, translating this into English. So I would not be surprised if there's just some stuff that's just lost in translation. There's just some stuff that's just, it's difficult to convey in English, just because of how weird of a language Japanese itself is, and just the fact that these movies are talking about some like weird abstract concepts.
Yeah, there are a lot of as you said, concepts.
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light. Is it dark heart?
Yes, Dante.
Light? I don't remember.
Yeah, that was movie 2.
Wait,
I really like movie 2. What? Okay,
I like to do one thing I want to talk about is that Shiki gets her red jacket here, her iconic red jacket, and
I love that jacket.
I think her character design is fucking strong. I already liked her because she was my main character in Melty Blood, even though I had no idea where she's from. But yeah, that kimono and the red jacket on top, like I'm assuming that is supposed to symbolize her two personalities, right? Like
kimono,
her murderous
Don't you mean
intent, and
kimono?
then also this sort of sheltered, emotionally repressed
feminine
girl.
Yeah.
Like a kimono is something that shows like class and sort of traditional values, I think.
Yeah, a lot of the movies are centered around this idea of the yin yang, and I think that's embodied in her character design as well, where her red jacket, her very like masculine red jacket is clashing with her feminine kimono.
It's not though. It looks great. It looks fucking awesome.
No, it looks great, but I just mean like you have this strong masculine element to her design and this strong feminine element.
Yeah. It clashes
because
thematically.
At the same it clashes thematically, but at the same time the yin yang is all about balance. So even though you have these two elements that are like on the opposite ends, they still come together in a way that balance itself out and it's cohesive. You were going to say something, Acer?
I was just mocking Bogan's pronunciation of kimono.
No, it's kimono.
It's kimono.
Kimono.
Kimono. We sound like such fucking like gaijin right now.
No, it's kimono. It's kimono. Like it's also not shiki, it's shiki. but that's kind of
I'm
awkward
s-
to say.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Fucking. Ugh.
I know it's kimono because I go to the store and it says so on the package. It says kimono.
Actually, I wanted to ask Boken, since you played Melty Blood first, without knowing who she was, how do you feel now that you know what this character is about now?
That's
Like,
fine. I mean, it's that game really isn't about the story, right? I just noticed a lot of moves from the game happening in these movies. Like especially she has this jump, this overhead jump, where she's upside down and then slashes forward or downward. That is one of her key moves in Melty Blood. And then also
did that make you hype?
yeah, it's kind of cool. And then the knife throw. I should go back and see how her weird eyes of depth perception is brought into it
So,
because I don't remember.
so that's the mystic eyes of death perception. That was something that um is explained in more detail in Tsukihime, which is what Melty Blood is a sequel to. Yeah, and it's this anime ass fucking idea that like everything has these lines of death on them, and you know if you can cut those lines, you could kill anything. Like it's a silly anime as fuck concept, but it's also kind of it leads to some really cool shit.
Yeah. I wonder if see, I feel like with the supernatural powers, I feel this either didn't explain it well enough or it maybe explained it too much. Does that make sense?
Yes, I feel you on that.
Yeah, that I think that comes from the explanation being really long-winded and complicated, and then at the end you feel like you still don't get what this actually is, because there still are
Yeah.
no established rules. Like they explained so much about the Magi in the fifth movie, and then those
Hmm.
guys like, I don't know what their fucking powers are. They can do anything. It is not
Yeah.
focused on that at all.
No, it
But
really
they spend a
doesn't.
lot of time on it, which is weird.
It is weird. I agree with that. Um, Especially rewatching the fifth movie. There was I already, since I'm so immersed in like all of
Anime.
this universe, I was watching this and I kind of realized like, oh wow, if I didn't already have all of this knowledge base, like this could be really hard to follow for people that just don't know. And I do think that is a weakness in the films.
Hmm.
But moving on to movie three.
Can we? Can
Um,
we? Well,
what?
there
Okay,
was
what's up?
one more criticism for two that I had,
Okay.
um, but I guess that's also a spoiler for seven.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna say it. I think I liked movie two, but my biggest criticism is that at the end, when uh, Mikia camped outside her house, and she appears in the forest and then starts hunting him and slashing at him, and she's about to kill him. Or I guess he, because it's the male personality, um, like the male personality then stops himself and goes, I want to kill you, but I don't want to kill you. And so then it the the male personality throws Shiki in front of a car. That's how she ends up in a coma. And
Hmm.
you don't like that is probably the emotional highlight of that movie and maybe their whole sort of relationship. And you don't really get that until the seventh movie. You only hear the sound of an approaching car, and they don't really tell you that is why she was in a coma for 2 years. So
Hmm.
I'm not sure why they cut that out and only bring that back in the very last movie.
I'm not really sure either. You could. I guess they wanted to keep it vague and mysterious. I guess I don't know. I don't know if it's because another thing to note is that these movies are also adaptations of books. So I haven't read the books, so I'm not totally sure what was left in, what was taken out. So like maybe in the book that part may have been elaborated on. Maybe it was made more clear that it was a car, but maybe it was a director's choice to make it a little bit more vague. I don't know.
I don't know how you guys watch movies, but I don't watch them like TV shows where I keep like where I watch a movie every single day or something. Usually there's a week in between a movie that I watch and then its sequel or whatever. So I feel like it's difficult to have that kind of cliffhanger or not giving me that information and then just expecting I'm gonna rush my way through to movie 7. It's been
See,
fucking months between me watching 2 and 7.
see, I shotgunned them all after dinner yesterday, and right up until
You're a
like
fucking
half an
monster.
hour before we started recording. So I'm very fresh.
Yeah.
That's insane, but you do you. No, I agree. Like it that is asking a bit much to like hold on to that tidbit from movie 2 up to movie 7.
Hmm.
Um but at the same time, movie 1 is called Murder Speculation Part 1 and
No,
movie
that's
7 is
movie 2.
called
That's 2,
Murder
isn't it?
Speculation Part 2.
Yeah.
Isn't movie 2 Murder
Yeah,
Speculation
it's
Part
movie
1?
2.
Movie 1 is Overview.
No, I'm sorry. I meant movie 2 is Murder Speculation Part 1 and movie 7 is Murder Speculation Part 2.
Yeah.
But they're also chronologically the furthest apart from one another.
Yes. Because it all comes together. But anyways, I think we spent too much time movie 2. Moving on to movie 3, Remaining Sense of Pain. Now, I can understand why Acer, his elfin lead.
Yeah, it was strongest in this one. I think it
Yeah,
dropped
his
off
elfin.
though. I think after
Yeah.
this one concluded, I was like, okay, no, this isn't Elven lead. They're actually doing something.
Yeah, so this movie kind of just like cold opens with a rape scene, and it's very uncomfortable. Um, and you have to give it this though, that's the only nudity throughout all the movies that I can remember. At least I'm pretty sure it's only in this movie, and
You
it's
get to
just
see
like
her
There's one
boobs
shower
later in the
scene.
movie.
I don't think anything is actually shown in that shower scene though, is it?
Well,
I don't think that.
no,
I don't
but
think any like.
you see her silhouette. It's kind of suggestive. There's also one
Yeah.
scene where she only is wearing underwear.
Bloody Puritans over here.
Yeah. Well, the point I'm making is that this is the only scene that's just like, bam,
Yeah.
nudity, and it's this really uncomfortable, just like you are absolutely not meant to enjoy this at all scene. Just like gut wrenching, just like this woman's her eyes are just dead, and she's just like taking it, and it's really painful to watch.
Yes.
And the movie is basically about this girl. Like I feel like movie 3 is like a better version of movie 1 in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think it has like a similar type of story, but I think it's a lot more emotionally resonant. I think it's a lot more interesting because I think unlike the first movie, which is it's more about like Shiki kind of like trying to figure out what's going on. This movie is more about from the perspective of the villain character, I guess you could say, the antagonist, and it's mostly about like what she went through and how she ended up this way. And I think it's one of the better movies in my opinion. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Bogan.
Great.
No, I had a thought, but it left me. halfway
Uh, f-
through.
fair enough. It happens.
No, I like this one too. This was probably, well, I liked the second movie too, but this one felt, from a pacing perspective, it felt tighter because I really liked the setup. Because you have a lot of different characters investigating these murders, and they all come from a different angle. But
Yes.
I liked that because, yeah, like Mikia has his own. Is after this what the fuck is his name? His friend that is being hunted by the girl, and then
Yeah.
yeah, you have the girl herself, and then you have Mikia's brother who is a detective, and then I don't even know why Shiki gets involved, probably through the agency, but yeah, there are more characters than usual, and they all kind of find out things bit by bit.
Yeah.
It was a decent structure, and
So
yeah.
so this is something that it's something we haven't really brought up much, but like these movies are all pretty gorgeous. I think we can. I think that's a pretty safe thing to say. Like visually speaking, these movies are all very lusciously animated and drawn. And
Is it the
I think the
animation or is it the? I think it's much. I think it has stronger backgrounds than it has animation. But I don't know if there's a distinction.
sure, yeah, there is a distinction. I'd agree. Like the animation is not like super fluid. For certain fight scenes, it does look really good, but I think it's a common. I think the movies look really good because yeah, the backgrounds, but I also just think like the general art direction is just very strong. Like it's very moody and it's able to convey like a certain level of grit and griminess, and like the has very good uses of dark and light. Like they're like any scene where it's raining looks amazing. But anyways, the reason I point this out is because like that kind of goes hand in hand with the fight scenes, and I think the fight scene in this movie towards the end is one of the best fight scenes because it's really cool and dynamic, and you have like Shiki and the other girl, they're with her or like crazy powers, and they're like fighting on the bridge, and I think it's just like a visual feast.
Yeah. I didn't. When she twisted Shigi's arm, I was like, "Haha, you idiot! She has a mechanical arm. She has a prosthetic. That didn't hurt her at all." But then I was like, "Oh no, this is all out of chronology. This is how she lost her arm."
Yeah. See, I guess in that way, that's one of the benefits of the movies being chronologically out of order, where like you do have moments like that where you think like, oh, she's going to be okay because that arm is prosthetic, but then that's when you find out, oh no, wait, yeah, that's how she lose her arm. So
Yeah, I also thought the twist of the episode the movie was going to be that she was pregnant, and that's why she got that psychic power, rather than she just was it. Okay, so the premise, as I understood it, was that while they were raping her, they hit her in the back with like a baseball bat, and that did something to her spine or something, which reawoke her sensation and unlocked her psychic powers again.
yeah, something like that.
It's kind of complicated. No, they also they stabbed her, or the thing is, she thought she was stabbed, but she didn't get stabbed.
See, that's why I thought she was just pregnant. She just had some sort of cramps.
No, she had something with her abdomen. I don't know how her abdomen was hurt, and because she doesn't actually feel pain. That's why, like, she doesn't get it treated or whatever, and she just keeps going as her body slowly gives out. And she thought she got stabbed, but she didn't. But she still imagines the pain, and that brings back her powers, because originally her powers were being treated by her father, I think, to be repressed, and that also made her sense of pain go away.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't just have her get stabbed. I think that would have made it less
Yeah.
confusing.
Yeah, and how did
I
she
mean,
get her abdomen hurt? Like,
I don't remember actually. Um, I think that was something that happened when she was younger. I think it was like part of like some deep-seated childhood trauma or
No,
something
but she
like that.
just cut her hand when she was younger.
yeah, she played with the knife and she didn't feel pain, so she kept
Yes.
going.
Ah. Hmm. Suspicious. I don't like this anymore. No.
All right. Moving on to unless you guys you have anything else to say about this one.
Hmm. I guess
I
not
thought
really.
I thought it was really effective when she was twisting the guy's legs and he was just like on the ground moping like, "What have you done to my body? What have you done to my legs?" I was like, "Hey,
Oh yeah,
that's really uncomfortable."
Yeah, that was actually like pretty disturbing to watch.
But at the same time, I was like, you were hanging out with some scummy people, doing some scummy things, and you did not, you were not a good guy. You get what's coming to you.
Yeah. He was not a good dude. He got what was coming to him basically.
Yes.
She got her revenge. I think there is something like poetic almost about like a rape victim getting revenge on like the people that raped her in like the most like cruel way possible, just like completely fucking ruining these people.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying now, Daniel. Like, in the hands of a lesser team of animators, a lesser director, this could have very easily been an Elvin lead. Like,
Sure.
this story.
But yeah, but they managed to do it with tact.
Yes.
Which is surprising because,
It's
anime is usually not known for their tact, but I think they managed to do it in this movie.
Was there any famous voice actor in this? I didn't hear anyone.
Araya Soren, I believe, is Boken's favorite.
Asa didn't watch it in Japanese.
It's only in Japanese.
It's only in Japanese.
Oh, what? Really? There's no English dub?
No.
There's no dub.
Oh, weird.
I believe me, Bogan. I looked.
The red-haired boy. Well, yeah. There's Araya. What's his name? Araya Soren. I don't know these voice actors' names, but he is voiced by Kotomine.
Yes, Kotomine.
Then the red-haired boy in
Joji Nakata. That's the actor's name.
Okay, the red-haired boy in movie 5. I know him from Fairy Tail. Voices the main character there.
Isn't Fairy Tail like just a One Piece ripoff?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change the fact that he is the main
in
character in that anime. Like,
we should have an episode about anime one day. What's going on in Japan? What are these people smoking?
What are these people doing? Anyways, so moving on to movie 4.
I actually I have one more just sort of general question.
Okay.
Do people in this universe understand that magic and stuff is going on?
No, like the average person does not. No.
Okay, but because like in movie 6, she just Mikio's sister, she just goes and learns magic. Like, I've just met this mage, I'm gonna learn magic. It's like, what is the expectations of people in this universe for this sort of weird supernatural happenings? Like,
yeah, you kind of have to be in the know.
I guess like the bridge twisting, there was a typhoon. They could like reasonably like try to connect the two there, but yeah,
No, yeah, like the Mage Society, they like to keep their stuff under wraps, so they use a bunch of spells and stuff to like kind of like Harry Potter in a way. They try to they try to conceal what they do, and they So like that school in the movie 6, they have like bound barriers and stuff to keep like normies out,
Uh,
basically.
But is that entire school for the supernatural? Because I don't think it
Yes.
is.
I can
Yeah,
just
I'm
imagine
pretty sure.
But then, how come nobody else seemed to know what was going on in movie 6?
I'm gonna be honest. I did not rewatch movie 6 for this because I'm not the super biggest fan of that one. So
That's the worst one, for
I
sure.
don't. It is the worst one. But we'll get to it later.
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, movie 4 takes place after movie 1. I mean movie 2. I'm sorry. And this one shows Shiki in the hospital, and it shows her awakening to her eyes of depth perception ability, and it also shows how she met Toko, who is the owner
Smoker.
of the agency.
Who
Who
didn't
is
pay anyone's salary?
Toko, by the way, low key, the actual best girl. I'm just saying. She's so cool.
Hey, we're not nerds. We don't have those talks, Daniel.
Yo, fuck you. She's fucking cool,
You
man.
really don't have much to pick from in this universe. Or in these
I mean,
movies.
yeah, to be fair, there's not like a ton of main characters.
You have Shiki, you have Toko, and then you have that dumbass sister of
Sister
Yeah,
Miria.
but
incest.
we don't talk about her.
You have a bunch of traumatized girls who
Yeah.
have psychic powers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bunch of murderers.
Yeah. So I feel like movie 4, um, it's not a bad movie, but I feel like this is the not the exposition dump movie. I wouldn't go quite that far. But this movie is basically just like, okay, we're here to like clear up some stuff. This is just to
Yeah.
explain some stuff. I think as a result, while it does have some good stuff in it and it does have like good moments, and it is good to like find like to flesh certain things out and to learn more stuff about how some of these characters met. I feel that there isn't like a super strong story at the center of it, so it ends up being one of the weaker movies, at least in my opinion.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. There is no story here because fucking Shiki doesn't leave the room for 99% of the movie.
Yeah, she's just kind of stuck in the hospital, and I think it's a very pragmatic episode, I guess you could say. I don't know. It's a very like it works is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like it has a goal. It has a function within the story, and it serves that function. You know, and you can't really fault it for that. But at the same time, like when I think back on Kara Kyoukai as a whole, I don't really think about movie 4 that much, just because it's just kind of there to serve its function, and
This is a
it's
movie
not.
that could have
Sure.
been a flashback.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, it could have. The material probably could have been like assimilated into uh something else maybe, and like just explained more quickly, I guess. I don't know. I mean, at the end, it's not a bad movie at all.
No.
Like still fine.
It is good to kind of get to know her eye power. I appreciate this movie for just setting up this theme of Mikia filling a part of her, like becoming this sort of emotional rock that she can lean on
Yes.
when she's depressed or doesn't know what to do. This is set up here.
Yeah, because at this point, the male Shiki is gone, and she's feeling that void in herself. And yeah, Mikia is the one to come and he's like helping to fill that void, like you said.
Yeah, and then
Mikia, of course. But
The best
did
boy.
they even interact that much in the episode? I felt like he was just kind of like on the hallway not being allowed to go in.
Yeah, he did visit her every day for the last 2 years.
Well, that's
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
when
and
she
that's-
woke up, Toko told her that he can't visit her for a while. And then for some reason, he sang that Singing in the Rain song to a puppet that was
Yeah.
also shown in movie 1.
Yeah.
And I didn't really get what was going on there. And I get it thematically, like bring back this memory of when he made her smile with that song, when they got to know each other. But I didn't really understand how the real Shiki got that emotional support by him singing to a puppet.
There's way too many puppets in this show.
There is. I think that was. I don't think the real Shiki actually got that from the puppet. You know, I don't. There wasn't like some connection between her and the puppet. It was more. It was more so like for Mikia's sake that like, in his own way, that was like him trying to like reconnect with her.
But how? When they're not even in the same building. It's magic.
Magic, man.
No, it's not magic. Again, it's thematic.
It's the magic, man.
Don't you think Toko did something there? Don't they specifically intercut between him singing and her just sort of getting over the loss of Shiki?
Yeah, but that's again, that's not like meant to be taken literally. It's not that like because he did that, suddenly, you know, she hurt his feelings or something. That's not what happened.
But then why did he do it? Why did he sing to a puppet if there's really no meaning to it?
Because the puppet reminded him of her.
Okay.
Like he did, like it's not for like a logical reason.
I feel like
did
if we
because, like-
if we just accept some magic happened, that makes the scene better. Wouldn't you agree?
No.
I don't know.
It's
I
the power.
mean,
it's
to
the
me-
power of love, Daniel. Please accept it.
No, shut up.
Do you guys feel like maybe this would have been better if it had started with like a 30-episode tournament arc where we get to know the characters?
Well, like what? Like Yu Yu Hakusho, the Dark Tournament.
I don't know what that is. But like they all
You've
call
never seen
their-
Yu Yu Hakusho?
No.
Ugh,
I've seen Yu-Gi-Oh! That has many tournament arcs.
I guess
Best
it does.
tournaments.
It's like all tournaments.
Can we talk
But
about
no, you have
where
like Shiki and she's like, I want to be the best supernatural detective. But then she has like a foil who's like her rival. They're like, ha, I've won every supernatural detective trophy in the last 3 years. What hope do you have? And then you develop the story naturally. Look, I'm just saying, I could have written a better show.
I doubt that very highly.
Yeah. Well, it's not for everyone.
only for a select audience?
Anyways, do we
It's-
want to move on?
It's
or-
for
Can we
mainstream
also clear up where the fuck that
anime-absorbing
zombie
idiots.
came from? Because I didn't get
Oh,
that.
that was Araya Soren from movie 5. He did that.
He just resurrected some asshole.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
Why?
Yeah.
Because his master plan in movie 5 has to do with Shiki. And he's trying to prod her so that she's ripe for movie 5, basically. Some, convoluted villainous bullshit, So anyways, speaking of which, shall we move on to movie 5?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay. So this is my favorite of the bunch.
Same.
Aha! What about you, Acer?
Okay.
What happens in movie 5? See, this is where my viewing order started to break apart.
Okay, so this is the one with the apartment building.
Oh,
and
yeah,
the apartment
that's a
building's
good
all
one.
fucked up. What?
That's a good one.
I think it's the best one.
Possible.
So I love this movie. I think it's fucking awesome. Um, I I really love the villain Araya Soren. I think he has a really interesting motivation, and it's also kind of weird that like he forgot what his own motivation was because like he had been doing the same shit for so long that like he was just going through the motions. But his actual motivation, which he remembered before he died, which I think is really fascinating, is that he found like he became depressed because he couldn't do anything about the people dying around him, and he felt like a lot of human death and suffering was pointless. So his goal was to give meaning to those deaths that he found pointless, and I think that's really interesting.
But like, it's weird because didn't he want to end the world? Because then that's how.
No,
Yeah,
no,
he wanted to fucking
no. What
open the vortex of whatever the fuck.
No, it's not that he wanted to end the world per se. It's so every mage, their goal is to find the. Okay, this has like multiple names because I guess translators just don't know what the fuck to call this. I've heard it called the spiral of origin. It's been called the swirl of the root. It's been called the vortex of radix or whatever. The
Yeah.
point is the point is like this is supposed to be like where everything came from. This is like the beginning of the universe. This is like everything starts here, and it's every mage's goal to find it, and so like along with his goal of like trying to give meaning to pointless deaths, it's also coinciding with his goal to find the root. He just so it's not it has nothing to do with he's not trying to destroy the world or anything like that. He just wants to find the root. And a lot of his these crazy experiments and a lot of what he's trying to do in this fifth movie is just him trying to get to the root.
Okay. I feel like it was somehow implied that if they reach the vortex, that sort of ends humanity, whatever that means.
Um I think that was thrown out as a hypothetical by Toko when they were talking. She was just like cuz she's kind of pointing she's trying to argue with him saying like no, what you're doing is pointless. Like it could lead to like the destruction of everything or whatever. And he's just so single-minded in his goal like he doesn't care if that's what happens. He's he wants to do it anyways.
I think, yeah, maybe it was the translation of the explanation, but I kind of got to it. There's a scene where he says the human suffering is sort of endless and a lot of them die pointlessly, and I felt like he wanted to set a finishing point by opening the vortex or whatever, where just humanity ends, and then he can re-examine humanity in its whole because there was nothing else coming after that, so that in its entirety all the deaths then give meaning to the whole instead of this endless suffering and death. But
Okay.
yeah, this is,
I could see that. I could
don't
see
know.
that. Maybe. Yeah. It might be a weird translation issue that because I I kind of got that as well, but yeah, it could be taken different way. Again, this is a bunch of complicated shit that these translators may have been over their heads trying to explain because
if it even
It
makes
tried-
that much sense in Japanese. Like, let's not put
You
it all
should've
on the
tried
translators.
harder.
Well, I mean, hold on a sec. I have the official Blu-ray that was sold to me by fucking Aniplex, and I saw typos. So, yes, I am willing to put it on the translators. I have an official fucking product with bad grammar. Like, okay, for the most part, it was fine, to be clear. But, like, you'd think that they would, have an editor that would, like, kind of go through it and be like, hey, maybe don't put the apostrophe RE where it's not supposed to be there. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but sometimes you also have to accept that the Japanese people don't know what they're fucking doing. I think the continued usage of foreign languages in anime is proof that a lot of Japanese people, not a lot of Japanese people, of course, but sometimes storytellers in Japan just do shit because they think it's cool.
Bogan's gonna get us banned, guys.
Can you disagree with me?
No, I don't disagree. I just don't think that's the case here.
The vortex of Radix. That's the best one. Like, where does Radix come from?
I don't know. Like, I don't understand why there's like so many different translations for the same thing. Like,
Also, the weirdest shit is she doesn't even say vortex of Radix in Japanese.
Nope.
It has an actual Japanese name. She doesn't say that in that sort of English that they use. Like,
Hoshio no Miyoko wa da vortex o Radix.
Yeah.
That
is,
no, she doesn't
I
say that.
rewatched that
Yeah.
scene and she does not say that. They just translated it to that from Japanese.
Hey, this is localization then.
Like, but like I said before, like, so in the Fate series, it's typically called the spiral of origin.
Yeah.
So like, and again, they're all talking about the same thing. I've seen a different translation for something else. Call it the swirl of the root. What the fuck? They're all talking about the same fucking thing. It has like 3 different names. I don't understand why.
Well,
Did you guys...
Vortex,
Did you guys-
well, that's okay. That's kind of the same.
Swirl of the root.
Origin and root, okay, but Radix?
I don't know. I don't know where they got that from.
You know what I didn't like is when what's her name? Your favorite girl, Daniel.
Toko?
Toko, yeah. I didn't like when the localizers changed her cigarettes into lollipops. There was also that scene where she went to like, I think it was originally a noodle restaurant, but she just had an American hamburger.
So anyways,
We have talked
basically
about
what
this
happened-
movie for 20 minutes and we haven't, like, we just
Yeah, we've
jumped
been-
into the ending.
we've just been complaining about this vortex of Radix. Anyways, so this movie is about this guy named Enjo, and it looks like he kills his mother in the beginning of the movie, and he's like totally freaked out by the situation, reasonably, and he escapes, and then he bumps into Shiki, who saves him from some bullies, and they end up living together for a while. And
But hold on,
it's-
there's one thing here. Talking about this being edgy, I feel like I did not get this being edgy, except when these bullies are about to beat him up. He just fucking
kills
gouges
one of
someone's-
them, basically.
Yeah, with 2 fingers into his eye sockets.
Yeah, that was
That is-
was a bit much.
And he's not a fighter. Like, he's just some scared kid, as far as we know, and he mostly stays that personality-wise. But he fucking murders that one guy and then gets beaten up, and it's never brought up again.
No, yeah, that I don't know what the fuck
It was
that was
so
about.
weird.
That was weird. I don't know why.
But
they
that's
did
what
that.
a real fight looks like, though. It's just guys doing terrible damage to each other.
Yeah, pinpointing where his 2 eye sockets are, and then snap.
Yeah.
That's how I fight.
I don't think that guy died though, but
He's blinded
He
for
could've.
life.
he's fucking blind for life.
You can get mechanical eyes in this universe. Can't
No,
you?
I think that's only for people that know about magic.
Oh.
So
Okay.
since he's a normie, he wouldn't be privy to that.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I wonder
Araya
what his
Soren
story was.
Came to him.
I totally agree. That part was very unnecessary.
Totally out of character.
Basically, so this kid is like he needs he needs to take refuge. So he lives with Shiki for a while, and then after that, he sees his mother just walking down the street, and he's like, "Yo, what the fuck? Like, what? That doesn't make any sense." And then after that, the movie starts to unravel, and you start to it starts to like um, just get crazier and crazier as like things progress, and then we find out that there's something fucked up with the whole building, and that Araya Soren is like that like he created the building, and it's twisting like dimensions and shit. Like it's insane.
Yeah, but basically he is making these people kill each other and then repeat their deaths over and over in order to
Yes.
investigate what if something else is going to happen.
Yeah,
And
and something did happen. This Enjo ended up escaping, and then it turns out in the end, even though it becomes kind of obvious as you go through it, but like he was one of those puppets. He's not the original um, person. Like he is a puppet made in the likeness of the original. And there's a really great scene towards the end where even though he comes to the realization of what he is, and his like body is like falling apart, and like supposedly like even like because he ends up falling in love with Shiki, and it turns out like um Araya Soren was responsible for even that. So like everything about this guy is fake. None of it is real. But like even knowing that, he's like defiant against Araya Soren. He's like, well, fuck you. I don't care if I'm a puppet. I don't care if these feelings are real to me. I know that I was in love with her. You know, and it's kind of ironic in that because he was kind of a trap for Shiki. Araya Soren kind of used him once he realized that he was not part of the MGS2 simulation, so to speak. He kind of realized like, oh, I could use this to my advantage and get Shiki here, and but that actually ends up being his downfall as well, because his devotion to Shiki is what allowed him to help her out in the end. And then we have that killer fight scene at the end of the movie.
yeah, by the way, that scene where Enjo dies is my favorite quote of this entire thing. Like Soren he's about awakening the origin of people
Mm-hmm.
to sort of bring them back to I don't know what it's supposed to be uh, as an explanation, but he brings that one guy back to his primitive sort of desires of just killing people and eating them.
Mm-hmm.
His and that is his point. Like I'm bringing them to their origin, and then when Enjo attacks Soren, and he's like, well, you can't do shit, and he just dissolves in his hands, and then Soren says, you cannot accomplish anything because your origin is in quotes worthlessness. That is
Yeah.
such a good fucking quote. Your origin is worthlessness.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is prime fucking insult material.
I'm so happy that that's your favorite line and not his like, but my feelings were real.
Of course not.
No, yeah, that was a great line. I'm not gonna
And I
lie.
think that's only funny because it's a bad translation. Because they didn't. It's worthlessness is put in quotes. Like that's a concept more than actual worthlessness. But
Yeah.
that's what makes it so great.
No, yeah, I have to agree. So, yeah, I love this movie. I think it's awesome. I think it's like I one of the things I really liked about this one is I think they got a lot more um I guess you could say adventurous with the way that they directed it. So like there was a lot of like interesting transitions. So there is the blood splatter that would turn into water. There was one scene where like Enjo is like freaking out, and then Soren stares at him, and then you hear him screaming, and then you see him running towards the apartment that he was, Shiki's apartment. Um, there's a scene where a door closes and then the car door opens. I think they got like really creative just with like um, the ways that they created the transitions. There was another scene where uh, I think Enjo was, I think it was either in the apartment or he's in some sort of alley, and then he walks to the left, and then all of a sudden he's like in. It was completely seamless, and then all of a sudden he's outside during the daytime. You know, like just some really just striking transitions in this movie. I kind of wish they did more of that in the other movies. The other movies were a little bit more traditional, straightforward. But like with the, I mean, I guess it makes sense for this movie for them to do stuff like that because the whole point of this movie is just like everything's kind of twisted and fucked up, and everything is paradoxical, and things are um, like just weird and contradictory almost. So like I guess out of all the movies, it would make the most sense for this one to have these like weird transitions.
Yeah, that's why I also think this is the best movie, but it's also the one that initially, when I started watching it, I hated the most. Because it's so fucking confusing in the beginning. Like, it's specifically designed that way because Enjo has false memories. His mind has warped around what he actually is and tries to explain it, and it makes no sense to him. Like he thinks
Yes.
he has murdered his parents, but he keeps talking about how it isn't showing up in the news, even though 1 or 2 weeks have already gone by, and so even time is sort of warped in his in how he experiences the world. And then
Yes.
just there are so many questions in this, and then this whole fucking condo explanation starts, and it's like, what? They're going. The elevator is bringing them out to the back instead of the front, and the rooms are all mirrored. What? But they do get most of that explained at the end, which I appreciated. Like
Yeah.
I really at the end I had no questions left. Everything was answered. And that is pretty impressive for how confused I was.
No, yeah, definitely. Like it is kind of fascinating because like it is arguably the most confusing movie, but then it ties itself up at the end like the the most neatly.
Hmm.
It's interesting, but yeah.
Also, I
And now
really
we go
appreciate.
from
Hold on, I really
yeah.
last thing. I really appreciated.
Yes.
Well, maybe we should talk a bit about the three mages. Like
Okay, Araya, Toko, and the Cornelius.
Cornelius. Yeah,
No, Alba. Alba.
I think he's Cornelius Alba, right? Is that his name?
Yeah.
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 I guess whatever. It's again, it's very difficult to really understand what their powers are because they just keep pulling new tricks out of their heads, sometimes literally, and I don't know.
So for Alba, I'm pretty sure his main thing is the puppets. So like all of the different people that were living inside of the building, like those were all his creations. Like he was creating these like fake puppet versions of the originals, um and Araya Soren, who is the not only just like we said the main bad guy of this movie, but he's been the puppet master behind the stuff that happened in movies 1 and 3 as well, and a little bit in 4.
But he also talked when he dies. He also talks about this body is giving up. So he is basically also a puppet. And then Toko dies, but she also shows up. So she also had a puppet. She had a copy of
Yes.
herself. You know,
Yes,
it
she
just
did.
just keeps fucking going with them going deeper and deeper. No, I actually had you this time.
Like
It's
I said earlier,
All
there's
according to
way too many
Keikaku.
puppets in the show.
yeah.
It's interesting because that actually comes back in Fate Stay Night, where there is an ending in Fate Stay Night where um, like you don't see her specifically, but she is mentioned, and she brings back a character that was supposed to have died with a puppet, and she had like transferred their consciousness before they kicked the bucket. And it's kind of like the overly happy ending. Like I
Mm.
guess because like the writer just wanted to have like one ending where like it isn't horribly fucked up, because the other ending to that route is like the quote unquote normal ending is incredibly depressing. So I guess he was just like, shit, I can't end it like this. Let me do something to have like a nicer ending.
You know, Cornelius Alba, he was kind of like a discount Speedwagon with his look, like
He
blonde
didn't look
hair,
like he
giant
didn't look like
pipe hat.
Speedwagon.
I was like, this guy, he's trying to be like Speedwagon. He's no Speedwagon.
I don't know about that. He was a lot like nuttier than Speedwagon was just
The
like
Speedwagon was plenty nutty. Thank you very much.
Speedwagon was fun, and in like a charming, likable sort of way. This guy was just crazy.
Yeah,
He
but
was
don't you
just
remember when when Shiki she was like her hands had been frozen and Alpa was like, you can thaw your frozen hands on my warm heart, and he like put her hands on his abs
no.
just like Speedwagon. I'm just saying, when I saw him I was like, pipe hat, blonde hair. Ah, that's not Speedwagon.
I think his design is pretty good though. Like
Yeah,
the red and the
I mean,
blonde
he's
hair.
ripping off Speedwag.
I don't really think he is.
Out of the three, he is mostly like a trickster.
Yes.
Yes.
What I really appreciated was, and I'm not sure if I'm misremembering this, but Soren was always searching for ultimate wisdom and truth. And I think they
Yes.
explain that that is what all mages are primed towards. But then
Yes.
I think they say that Toko sort of settles down with her agency and she becomes more interested in the little contradictions of the human life. And so she's like the little wonders of everyday life.
Like Gandalf.
Yes.
And I appreciated that sort of, she is mostly just doing her thing and he is fucking killing people and manipulating the world. So I like
How,
the different outlook.
how did you feel when he ripped her heart out?
I have no idea. It's been a while. And I didn't rewatch that scene.
Because I remember the first time I saw that scene, I did not see that coming at all.
Yeah,
And
I'm pretty
it,
sure I thought she was going to be dead.
no, yeah. And at first, when I saw that she came back, I was like, what the fuck is this bullshit? And then she explained the thing about the puppet, and I was like, okay, fine. She's a great character, so I'll let this slide. It made enough sense for me to go like, all right, this is a bullshit magic world that you've created anyway, so I guess it makes enough sense.
It is really. Remember in the fourth movie when she tried to destroy the zombie but couldn't? And then Shiki told her, wow, you're a fucking fraud. And I was really like, maybe it's just me trying to latch onto any detail in order to trying to understand how strong these mages are and how strong they aren't. But that stuck with me. Like, she also is kind of a fraud and she really isn't that strong. But then she just comes back from being murdered because she had it all planned out and she destroys Cornelius. And I was like, then I thought maybe her her copy wasn't that strong and her original self could have destroyed that zombie?
I don't think so because I remember she said that she made her copy like not better and not worse than her, just like the same as her.
Kind of exactly the same, yeah.
Yeah, and I think what it is because mages have different specialties. So her specialty is not in doing like a straight up like standard like fire spell like she was doing on that zombie. Um, Her specialty is more like in creating stuff. Like she had those briefcases with the different creatures. Like I think that's more so what she's good at. Because like all mages have like different like inherently they have different properties. Different pros and cons, I guess.
Okay.
All right. So we go from. Are we done with movie 5 for now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we go from the best movie to the worst movie, movie 6. Yeah, it's not a terrible movie. Like it's not like complete garbage or anything like that. And I will at least grant that pacing wise, I think the movie its placement makes sense because movie 5 is extremely dense. Movie 7 is also another 2 hours long and it's extremely dense. So it makes sense to have a lighter movie in between to buffer them. That being said, it's still the worst. It mainly follows Mikia's sister, who sucks.
Who was
She's
easily
annoying.
the worst character in the show.
Easily the worst character.
A show which has numerous rapists.
You're not even wrong.
Look, you can rape people, you can murder people, but I'm gonna draw the line at Mikiya senpai, I love you, even though you're my brother.
No, yeah, she's literally in love with her brother. Like, and she even says it like in the beginning of the movie, like talking to the audience. She's like, "Hey, I want to make sure this is clear. Don't get this mixed up. I'm in love with my brother." And that's how it is. And it's like, Jesus.
I had my uncle
Christ.
adopt me so that so my brother would forget that he was my brother. It's like, what the fuck, bitch?
Honestly, the only like good thing about this movie, I would say, is the visuals are still fantastic. We still have that great Yuki Kajiro music, who also composed the music for Madoka Magica, which we also did, by the way. Hint, hint. You may want to watch that episode that we did as well.
If you want to see Bogan get mad at me.
I recently re-listened to that episode, and boy, are you fucking dismissive, man. Just not even arguments, only just like,
yes, you were wrong.
Don't recommend little anime girls to me. I can't wait for you to recommend Pride and Prejudice and Daniel to be like, "Hey, who do you think was best girl?" And me to be like, I want to die.
There are a lot of girls to pick from, to be fair.
But yeah,
I like
the only good things. Real quick, the only good things are like the visuals, the music, and the fight at the end, and I think that's about it.
By the fight at the end, are you talking about when she's like they're in their pajamas and she tried to take the knife from Shiki?
That's not what I meant. No.
No, but you know what? I like the idea that they're taking people's memories. Because there is a shadow game in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where Merrick does that to my Valentine.
Christ.
No, but it's great because they lose life points. Then they lose like a memory of somebody they cared about. And finally, like Merrick has taken a lot of life points from Mai, and she's forgotten most of her friends. And she finally deals damage to him, and the memory he loses is just like some faceless henchman because he didn't have anyone in his life he even remotely cared about. So I would say that's an interesting premise, but it is stolen from Yu-Gi-Oh, so I will have to detract points.
Of course.
You understand.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there really anything else to say about this movie?
I feel like they tried, but I just didn't give a shit. There was another sort of tragic villain. It was immediately clear that that girl was going to be the villain, like the moment she showed up, where she just
Yeah,
came,
just her design.
fucking came into the room and was like, "Hey, stop bothering the what is it called, the director of the school."
Yeah.
There's another name for that. What the fuck is it called?
Principal.
The principal, yeah. Stop bothering the principal of the school. Like, who are you? Why are you coming in here and stuffing this? And it's immediately clear that she is behind the fairy murders or whatever. And there's some elements of erasing memories and then you just perceiving something differently. And that's what she is doing to avenge this girl that killed herself. But it was again too convoluted and I didn't really get a good grasp on it.
Yeah, I would say like this sixth movie is kind of similar in structure to movies 1 and 3, but is the worst of the three. It's kind of like this side story ish type of thing. You have this tragic villain, and then it gets resolved at the end. I don't know. It's the worst movie.
One
It's
of
the
them
worst
had to
one.
be the weakest one.
All right. Anyways, I think that's it. There's not much else to say about it.
Who was the fourth mage that showed up on Soren's behalf? Godot was his name, and I had no fucking clue what his point was.
What, in movie 6?
Yeah.
So he awakened Shiki's memories.
To what end? What changed then?
She remembers everything now. That's what changed.
But to what end? What's the point?
Like, why did Araya Soren want that to happen?
Yeah, and also, how was it relevant for the story? If there's only one more movie, and I don't remember that coming into play at all in the seventh one.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't even rewatch this one, so I'm like, whatever. Like I said, this movie's filler, pretty much. It's just filler. And now we move on to movie 7. The grand finale, Murder Speculation Part 2. So this one had your favorite shipping, Boken.
Oh yeah, the sloppy gay kiss.
Yes.
That I screenshotted and sent to you.
Yes, and that was when Acer was like, "Oh, I don't know about this, guys."
They're not even married. How can I let this happen?
So
that was a guy?
Yeah.
I thought that was a girl.
Oh yeah, that was a dude.
But he was dressed like Shiki.
Yeah, because he was obsessed with her.
Oh. Is that why you're dressed like you're dressed?
I guess so. So, in my opinion, I think movie 7 is one of the better ones as well. Not quite as good as movie 5, but I'd put it like in that area.
Half of the budget went into that dude's tongue.
Oh, that was a disturbing scene.
God, that was uncomfortable. I'm gonna say this is my second favorite, and not even close. Like, I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. It's really really good. Um, I think the villain of this one, Leo, he's distinctly different from the other villains that we've had so far. Um, and I think that added like a bit of um freshness to this one
Mhm.
compared to the other movies where
Is
like
he? No, I was gonna ask, is he the only guy villain? But no, of course not.
no, movie 5 had
Yeah,
both Cornelius and Oriah Soren.
and Speedwagon, yes.
Uh, Speedwagon, of course. Yeah, I found his obsession with Shiki to be really weird and interesting, and really creepy. He was also kind of obsessed with Kokto as well. And I really liked the ending scene where he was trying to force Kokto, forcing Mikia to like take these drugs, and he's saying that like, hey, you're gonna die unless you take this. It doesn't make any sense for you to not take this. And this kind of ties in again what I was saying before about how, like, kind of like one of the central themes of these movies is like the yin yang and balance, where logically speaking, Mikia should have just taken the drug to save himself, but he refused because he's a little crazy.
Mm.
He has this like notion of like, oh well, I'd rather die as a human instead, and it's like, no, bitch, you're gonna die. Take the drugs and live.
He's kind of like Fred Jones, which we talked about before we started recording. Like
Fred
a bit
Jones.
crazy.
Oh, Scooby Doo.
Yeah. I imagine if Fred Jones had been poisoned with insanity and given an antidote that would make him crazy, I imagine Fred Jones would also choose to live out, to die as a human, rather than become a monster. He's one of my favorite fictional characters.
Fred Jones is.
Yeah.
He's a top tier character in
He's
your
so
eyes.
good.
I do think kind of like a weird thing about this movie though, like because I feel like I think it felt like things could have ended with movie 5 as well.
Yeah.
Even though movie 7 still acts as a good ending point too, I feel like everything was building up to movie 5.
It's
And
kind
then
of
it just kind
it's kind of weird to have the main baddie beaten in movie 5 and then get like his henchman basically in movie 7.
So, in my opinion, I think that the out of chronological order thing should have been taken further, and movies 5 and 7 should have switched places. Now, the only problem with that is movie 7 has that really nice, happily ever after ending at the, with Mikia and Shiki at the very end, where you have like the really beautiful scene with them holding hands and the cherry blossoms, and that doesn't really make sense to have that, smack dab in the middle.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, we also have because Araya Soren is the big bad. He's orchestrated most of the events of the story up to this point, and it is weird to have him die in movie 5. It's not awful, but like it's just a little bizarre.
It is, yeah, that aspect was a bit strange, but as you said, if you switch them, then other things don't make as much sense or don't hit as hard. Because movie
Yeah.
5 was not really about their relationship. Which I
Did
guess.
Leo
Yeah.
Did Leo think he was Shiki at the end? Why was he kissing Mikio?
Well, he was trying to put the drugs inside of him.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Of course. I'm trying to look for reason within this character who is like the explicit point of him is that he's crazy.
It was completely reprehensible and he stopped giving a shit.
Yeah, this dude he liked to eat people. Like he was fucking nuts.
Yeah.
It's by the way, when I
Full of drool.
watched back episode 2, because I was wondering why Rio, right? Yeah, that's his name. Rio and Mikiya knew each other. I didn't remember that at all. And then just now, when I watched back episode 2, there's actually a mention of that where Mikia says he was at a sort of, I don't know, Rio had just left school and had given a farewell party, I guess. And they mentioned that. Like Mikia asks Shiki if why she didn't go. So in the
Yeah.
beginning, Rio actually just left school, and I guess they were friends.
Yes. Not only that, but I forget which movie exactly it was, but like after the credits of one of the movies, I think it was either 3 or 4. Um, Leo is shown like in an alleyway or something, and Araya Soren approaches him and is basically like, "Oh, your origin is like hunger or whatever the fuck he says."
Yeah, that's kind of that was fairly obvious. I thought that went without saying. I
Yeah,
think,
but I'm just saying that like his character was alluded to, in in movie 2, and he was alluded to in like at the end of like movie 3 or 4 or something like that.
yeah. Although we didn't get his name, I think we only got his name, or we were able to put his name to his face in the end, only in movie 7.
I think so. Yeah. But yeah, I think I agree with you that this is one of the better ones. Second favorite. Yeah, I think I'd put it as second favorite as well. Um, Atmosphere is on point. The the uh, the vibe. Some of the action scenes are good. Like it's just all around just like one of the stronger films.
The reason why I like this the most is that I noticed the most just subtext in this. It felt very symbolical, um,
I
because
mean, I feel like all the movies have that,
probably, but
but
that's why I said I noticed it here the most. Because this
sure.
movie is about Shiki still like struggling with the remnants of her other personality. Even though it's gone, she still has that murderous intent, and she's afraid that she will kill again. And
Yeah.
then, of course, you have just the fact that the actual villain of the story starts dressing up. Like the actual villain is a literally male version of Shiki.
Yes.
And then all these little details that enforce that idea of her just being taken over by this wish to murder again, where the Rio slashes Mikia with Shiki's knife, for example. And
Mm-hmm.
there were other scenes where, God, what was it? There was, I think one was crying. I think in a scene, like Shiki was crying, and then it cut from her cheek where the tears were going down to the ground where just drops of blood were falling.
Mm.
And because she also was cut. And then later, when Mikia gets cut on his face, it literally looks like he's crying blood. And so they kind of they keep bringing that back, these connections between like she is putting him into danger, but he's trying to save her, and then this whole, it was very very visual, their
Yeah.
relationship, which
Yeah.
I liked.
Yeah. And I think this one in particular also conveys the idea that like people like Mikia and Shiki need each other. Like, because again, I keep mentioning I sound like a broken record, but it comes back to this idea of the yin yang and balance. They almost perfectly balance each other out, and that's why they need each other, and that's why you know they're perfect for each other in a way. Like they represent the best and the worst in each other, and together they're strongest when they're together, they're perfectly balanced.
He is going to carry her sin.
Yes. Acer, any thoughts on this one?
Well, Bogan said he's gonna carry her sin. That's another one where I was like, that's a bit schmaltzy for me.
It is, but I felt like after that movie, with all the fucked up shit that happened, it felt sort of genuine.
I don't know, I feel like it's earned because like most of these movies have been really fucked up. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with having like a little bit of sentimentality.
Sure, I guess. I felt like when he was eating her clothes, that was pretty sentimental. No,
Okay.
first of all, just I don't know why, but the amount of drool,
Yeah.
like it was genuinely disturbing.
It was so fucked up.
Like I don't know what
Yeah.
it. I think it is just because it was so much drool.
Yeah, the animators kind of went a bit wild there.
Yeah.
There's not a lot that phases me, but that scene, I just wanted it to end. Like when he starts biting her throat, and you can actually see the bite marks, and she's like sort of screaming, and oh, Christ.
I once did that to my uncle. I bit him on the arm, and he had to
No,
go to
it's
the doctor.
almost the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, human bites are very bacteria riddled, Bogan. I hope you know.
So you were
Okay.
trying to murder him, is what you're saying.
Well, it was, I was like 18 or something. I didn't know. No.
Simpler days.
No, you were like 3 or something.
But yeah, now that I think about it, yeah, this movie was probably the most uncomfortable of all of them.
I'm gonna say this was also the first time that I've ever seen an anime character smoke a blunt. Probably also
Okay.
the only time I'm ever going to see that.
I mean, yeah. Also, can we just appreciate? I mean, this is going back to movie 5, but like, can we appreciate how progressive the movie was? When like Koko's like shitty sister was like, "Oh, you don't care if Shiki is like a male or a female," and he's like, "No, I don't really care." Like, you have to remember, like, this is not just like Japanese, and the Japanese are notoriously homophobic, but like this was also written
They are?
back in the
Yeah.
Oh.
Name
This was also written
more than 2
uh,
gay characters in anime.
Every character
that are
in
not
JoJo.
stereotypes.
Every character in JoJo.
None of them are
But
gay.
like,
They have massive gay energy.
Yeah,
though.
but that doesn't count. That just makes you
no, that doesn't
stronger.
count. But
Oh.
like I was saying, like these books were also written back in like the late '90s, so pretty progressive, for its time.
I actually think that not to verge too far maybe on this topic, but I think like this wouldn't have been a problem back in the 90s. I just don't think this was a big like. Do you remember 10 years ago? I don't remember this being that fiery of a topic back then.
Well, I'm talking specifically like Japan.
Yeah, well,
Well, no, but it wasn't a topic in the 90s, but now in retrospect, that's just because people were very complacent.
yes.
You fucking
They were
go
browbeaten
watch-
by the man.
Go watch old Friends episodes and take a drink every time they do some sort of like gay panic joke or sexist joke.
My favorite one is where they're Chandler is like, "Oh, Ross, you got drunk and you shat your pants at the party," and Ross is like, "Whatever, you kissed the dude."
Yeah.
Like that's the worst
Yeah.
thing that a man could do. Ross, don't you be talking.
Well, fucking Karo Kyoukai here is like, yeah, well, we've got like this guy drooling and shit, and kissing
And kissing a lady. No, kissing a guy, sorry.
kissing a guy to put drugs in him.
Yeah. But I don't know if you want to stand behind that as like really progressive. This clearly mentally deranged psychopath is trying to drug and kill people.
Well, no, I was referring more so to the fact that Mikia was like, I don't really
Yeah.
care if Shiki is like male or female.
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, of course.
because
Of
he's
course.
yeah, because his attachment to her goes beyond something like that. To him at that point, it's just kind of arbitrary. He just likes her for who she is. So yeah. Anything else we want to say before we wrap up?
This is finished, right?
What do you mean?
Like, there's not any more books to adapt or anything like that, is there?
Um, technically there is like a epilogue, but that's like totally unnecessary.
Huh. Hmm.
I don't know if there's any other extra books though. Like that, I don't know.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was Karo Kyoukai.
Can we agree on a final ranking? Power ranking?
Yeah, I was gonna ask how you guys, because I always find it fascinating when people tell me how they rank the movies. So I think we all agree that movie 5 is at the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then 7 is second for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Boken and I agree that movie 7 is on the number 2 spot. What do you think, Acer?
Yeah. 7 or 3.
7 or 3. Okay. Because for me, I think we should just do our list separately because I don't think we'll all agree. So for me, I put 5 and then 7 and then 2, and then 3, 1, 4, and then 6 at the bottom.
Okay, so I'm gonna go 5, then 7.
7, yes.
And then probably 3. And I think then 2. Because again, I think 2 suffers from the whole car accident. That is an emotionally important moment the resolution you don't get until the last movie, which I think makes 2 a bit weaker. So
gave you too much blue balls.
Yeah. So 5, 7, 3, 2, 4, 6, 1. No, sorry, 4, 1, 6. I didn't like 1 that much.
Okay. And what about you, Acer?
Like 7? No, 5.
5.
7, 3. I don't know if I'd put one ahead of the other. Maybe 1. Like in retrospect, I kind of liked it. Which ones do I have left? I have
You have the flash
4, 6,
and 2.
4 and 6.
You didn't
4,
rank 2.
6. Didn't I rank 2? Oh, I guess 2. 6 and 4. I'm gonna be different from you guys. Because at least 6 told like a story which I didn't just... Like, at least that's something. I feel like 4, like I said earlier, that could have been a flashback.
Yeah. I mean, I get that.
And I demand you both change your rankings to
I
accommodate
really didn't
me.
mind 4 that much. I thought it was okay.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of get what Eighths are saying, though, that like 6 had a little bit more going on as a story, but...
Oh, no, wait, it had Incest Sister. Nah. It's 4, 6.
Yep. There you go.
See, my point is that I feel like you can put these in 2 different categories. One of them is main story, and the other is side stories. The main story is 2, 4, 5, and 7, and the side stories are 1, 3, and 6. And I would agree
Yes.
that 3 was strong. It was a really strong story, but that's why I think 1 and 6 are the weakest ones. And that's why I think 4 actually is higher for me, because at least that dealt with the consequences of a previous movie.
So basically, you put 4 a bit higher because of its how it, I guess, how it elevates like the main story, I guess.
Because of its relevance, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I see that.
But 3 is the origin of the mechanical arm.
That's a side note.
Oh.
And again, I put 3 higher than 4 still.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say like 3 works really well, compare especially compared to 1 and 6, where like the story in 6 is not super interesting. It has some good ideas, but it's not executed as well. I think 1 mostly just works as like when you just being thrown in on the deep end as like your very first exposure, which can go either way. Like for Boken, it didn't work as well. I think for me and Acer worked better of just like, oh, what is this? This is so weird and interesting and kind of like bizarre. But I think like movie 3 is just like a better version of what movie 1 was doing. And I think also at that point, you have more context and you have a better understanding of what the movies are about. So at that point, you've already kind of gotten into the groove. And I think that makes it even better.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm glad you guys liked it. Again, I was a little concerned going into it because I wasn't exactly sure how you guys would feel about it because these are weird, abstract, sort of like slow burn flicks. But I'm
I
glad you guys
famously
ended up
hate
liking it.
subtext.
What is it? What's
I
the case
famous-
subtext? Yeah. Yeah, glad you guys liked it. So Boken, do you want to tell us the next podcast special?
Yes,
What it's going to be?
My next recommendation is going to be the all-time classic Avatar: The Last Airbender. And we're going to be joined by our fine guest, Rasputin, who has agreed to be on the recording.
Yay!
Yeah, isn't that like a 70 episode series?
It's quite a lot, yeah.
There's 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Unlike Code Geass, it's mostly world-class television and not complete garbage, though. So
Wait, you're saying Code Geass is garbage?
what? I would never.
Oh.
How dare you?
Oh my. I would have never. Anyways, that's it, everybody. This has been the Essays and Espresso crew.
Yes.
I have been your host, Daniel, with my cohorts, Acer and
I've been
Boken.
Acer. I have not been Boken.
No, you have not been Boken. You have been Acer.
And then some.
Yes. We will see you again next time. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.